Hello, and today we're going to be talking about how to install a package of bees. All of the steps to doing it. So, step number one is installing the bees into the hive. You need Step number two is opening the entrance because you have to close the entrance in step number one so they don't fly away or have, something like that. And step number three is inspecting the hive. So this is step number one, and what you're gonna need a feeder. I got a feeder for chickens. You're gonna need a spray bottle. You're gonna need some gloves, spray bottles so that the bees don't fly around, that type of stuff. So they kind of, they eat the pollen, the liquid. As well, you're gonna need a hive tool because you're gonna have to use it to open up the box of bees, the package, because there's a special latch on it. You're gonna need a hive entrance, which you can close off. I have protect the bee, and because you could, it has a lot of features. You're gonna need a pollen patty, stuff like that. So you feed the bees, and if you have a big one, cut it in half. You don't have to put the whole thing there. They're not gonna eat it, all of it, in one day. You know. So also you're gonna need a bee suit because here's the beekeeping suit. As I already said about the gloves, you're gonna need the gloves as well once again. Because, the bees are kind of disoriented, you still don't really want to mess with them, if you could say so. And obviously, most importantly, you're gonna need the package of bees because without it, you're gonna have nothing to do. Obviously, you're gonna need the bees, so well, and you're gonna have to wait a little bit so they get assimilated and start doing honey and stuff like that. But you're gonna need the feeder, as we already said. So yeah, that's the first and most important part. So yeah, we're gonna be installing the bees, and so yeah, as I already said, spray them first so that they kind of calm down and they don't fly around. And as you can see, we're spraying them a little bit, slowly and steadily, slowly spraying them, and so there is a can, and you have to kind of take out the can. And the important part with the can is you want to take out the queen. You have to take out the queen, and so once you take out the queen, you kind of have to deal with her. Probably you're gonna put her in your pocket because she's in a little cage and she's running around. And first off, dump the bees, and then put the queen of wisdom, and put a little marshmallow with her and stuff like that. But so spray them around a little bit so they're kind of eating the syrup which you got in your spray bottle. And so as I already said, here's the hive tool, and you're gonna need to slowly slowly try to unlatch it, and kind of that stuff. But so as I already said, we're trying to get out the queen right now, and keep the hive tool by your close to your hand. You're gonna need the hive tool. So we got the queen out, and as I already said, put her in your pocket. She's not gonna bite you. She does have a sting in her, but not really. And the other bees, they're gonna, they're kind of a little bit disoriented. Either way, you have the queen or they don't, so that's fine. And so yeah, right now there's a little latch, there's a little door, and the door is pretty tight in there. So you're gonna have kind of a problem unlatching the door there. So you're gonna have to wait a little bit, stuff like that, unlatch the door, and stuff like that. So now that you have unlatched the door, you're gonna have to kind of shake them. You're gonna have to whack them down. You're gonna have to do stuff like that. You're gonna have to make them so they're in a big clump. And don't really worry. Obviously, as you can see, there are a few bees flying around, but there would be way more bees flying around if you wouldn't have sprayed it. because the bees really, they're just, checking out what's going on. They're pretty actually happy to get out of the box, tells the truth. And so, yeah, I spray a little bit around there, as you can see, do some spraying, and start putting in frames, so that the bees kind of, start more assimilating in their new environment and stuff like that, because they're kind of, what happened, where are we? Yeah, and put a board on top of them. You can put a board on top of them. You could already, kind of start doing stuff like that. Put a board. Get kind of ready. As about the can, if there's still some stuff in the can, you could put the can as well. You don't have to just, throw it away. You could use the can to feed them. As well as some advice, I would advise you to put the package by the bees, because there still are going to be some bees inside of the package, and they're going to still be, obviously you can't get all of them out because some of them are, kind of stuck. Some of them get wedged themselves uh, into the little frames, into the little slots in the package, if you will. And as one little tip I would give you is, so that the bees are, a little bit more calm, isn't just, use the spray bottle. It is actually actively, I would say, you know, how could you call it, is, have them so that they're, you keep them in a cool environment, so that they're kind of, obviously they're cold-blooded, they're insects, they, if you keep them in a coldish environment, but not too cold, you can kind of do that. So, right here, we tried to show the queen, and sadly, we really didn't do that too well. Sadly, that didn't really work. Sadly, we kind of missed the camera. Right here is about the time when you're gonna start seeing us trying to do the queen. But, so, you obviously probably can't see it. The camera obviously is a little bit off here, but so the simple explanation is she's running back and forth, and you kind of want to lance her, because there is pretty much, there is very little, not exactly a cork in there. There's a cork in there, and the cork is kind of what is keeping the queen in there. So you probably saw her right there for a moment. So he runs back and forth, and you're gonna have to take the cork out and use just about anything. But my advice is use a corkscrew. If you got a corkscrew, use a corkscrew. Just use the tip of the corkscrew. But anything probably will work really. Just don't harm her, if you will. And after you do that, put a marshmallow in there. Although they're pretty much assimilated with the queen, because they have been in the package for probably the last week or so, or maybe at the very least, like 4 to 5, maybe at the very minimum, like really the bottom of it is like 3 days, and they're probably already know each other pretty well, and they're probably not gonna kill her. But still, put a little marshmallow in there and stuff like that, because you really don't know what's gonna happen. These are animals, and they're kind of, you know, really don't know what's gonna happen. So also put her sideways. Put the cage sideways, because if you put it upwards, some it's not very good for them to get at it. They might not eat the marshmallow if it's upwards, and the marshmallow might fall on the queen when they eat it, and she might get. And this might take a little bit more time till she gets out. If you put it downwards, there could be dead bees can get in there. They could, kind of, and so yeah, once again, problems with the queen getting out. Stuff like that, because, the queen is pretty important for the whole situation, so right now, put the feeder, put just about anything, food, as about the food, they're gonna really go through probably most of it, and, we're gonna be checking on that in a few days, so, that's gonna be by the end of the video. You're gonna see how did the hive change, really, over the course of the few days. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. This helps promote the channel so that more people can find us. It only takes a moment. Please do. So this is the aftermath here of the bees, after we dump them in here in the hive. So as you can see, this is immediately after this. The bees here are still kind of flying around, and you know, they're trying to find where is their home, and, stuff like that. They still are, kind of looking out what's going on. They're currently just entering the hive, they're flying around, seeing what's going on. In general, they're pretty much done. There's practically, as you can see, no bees in the box, in where they were, in their package. So, yeah. The bees are still kind of swarming by the entrance, and as you can see, bees are currently entering the hive. And as you can see, there is no exit. They can't leave. They're kind of, stuck in the hive. They're pretty much, they're there. They kind of really can't leave, and, they're just chilling, if you will. It wasn't really warm outside. This is pretty far north where we are, and, so they're kind of okay. They're kind of chill. So, yeah. They're, just happy to get out of that box, if you will. Pretty happy getting out of that box. That's all they are, really. So, yeah. Pretty much as you can see here, just a little bit while later, and there's practically no bees left. They're pretty much all gone. So this is step number 2, opening the entrance. So you do it one day after you have installed the bees, because as I said in step number 1, you have to close the entrance so that the bees don't fly away. And obviously, if you don't have the bees, they might fly away, and as a result, you'll obviously lose them. So as you can see on the picture, so we changed the entrance from being completely reduced to being more of a open entrance, so they can go through and they can go to their hive. So yeah, this is pretty much all that I have to say at this one. And this is a pretty simple step, and just do it one day after you have installed the bees, and that's it.
Okay, we're recording.
So yeah, so this is day number 3 after the installation, and this is step number 3 of inspecting the hive after you do it. So what we're starting from, we're going to be taking out the top here. And so we have this feeder, as I already said in earlier this video. This is a feeder for chickens, right? Chicks, little chicks. So we got our frame here. It's empty. So right now we're gonna do that. We're taking our, I guess, queen excluder. Queen excluder going over here. Queen excluder going over here. And so we have our patty. Got our...
Let's not take it off. Let's leave it.
Actually, you might be right. We probably don't need to take out the patty.
They're active.
Yeah,
look, here's pollen right here on top of the...
Wow, they're really mad. They're
not mad. They're doing okay.
Okay, I'll take...
Make sure she's out.
Yes, she's out.
As we figured.
Put it over here. And so, let's begin from the corner frames.
Don't you think we should go in the center? Well, you know better. You know. The frame's coming apart.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, we kind of, not really the best situation, I guess so. Situation right here isn't the best. You can try and put the frame together. So checking frame number 9, it's okay. Frame number 9, nothing. Frame number 9, no queen, nothing. So did you put the frame? Attempt to put it
back together.
Frame number 8, nothing, no activity, no comb. Oh, actually there is some pollen over here. So they are kind of doing some activity. So anyway, right here. Yeah, my advice is put these things out here. We can put this. So yeah, this is frame number 9, number 8, number 7. Okay. Ooh, we got.
So we'll grab the frames from the both ends. The glue is not sticking well. That's unfortunate.
So there is a little bit more activity over here. The bees are doing some more stuff.
Well, since we're having some issues with these frames falling apart, let's just slide them instead of...
Yeah. I'm trying to show. Can you move it back a little bit? I'm seeing some comb. There's some comb.
Okay. Oh! It dropped it. It came apart.
Can you bring better frames of your garage, please? So we're kind of having some problems with the frames. We put them together with some glue, and I kind of think that with the glue gun, and I kind of think that we're kind of didn't put them together good enough. I'm guessing so, at least. Didn't put them together well enough, and they're kind of causing us a bit of a problem. Okay, this frame right here is yes, we're seeing some activity, some bee activity. Oh, they're making comb. Is the queen over here? No queen. No queen. The queen is absent. Queen is... Oh, this frame is a little bit heavier. And so I'm looking for the queen right here. I'm looking for the queen. And I'm not really seeing her. Oh, here she is. Here's the queen. Here's the queen. Here's the queen. The blue dot. She's out. She's out of her box. She's out. I'm putting the frame number 5 back in here. And they're kind of getting a little bit mad, I have to say. And they're making it quite apparent that they're unhappy. And Now I'm looking through frame number 4. Okay, I'm looking frame number 4. And it appears to be that they're making comb. They're making a little bit of progress. They're making some comb. I don't see any what should I say? I don't see any. Oh, there's some honey. There is some honey. They're making a little bit of honey over here. They're making a little bit of honey, which is kind of a good sign. They're making a little bit of honey. So I'm gonna kind of check out this frame over here. No real activity. No real activity. Nothing really here. They're just building some comb. Just what we want. Just what we need is them making some comb. Is showing some signs of activity. They're kind of doing some stuff over here, but not really. Not very much. So this frame also is. This frame is a little bit better.
Do we have any larvae?
No, I didn't exactly see the larva. I will check.
Do we see the queen?
Yes, I found the queen, and she's on this. And she's on this frame.
Let's put some frames for the damaged ones back in and close it up.
Yes.
Let's close it up quickly because less disturbance the better. How many frames do we that are?
We need 2. This is going to be frame number 7. And it's going to be frame number
10?
Yes. Frame number 10. Do you want me to check if there is any larva?
Well, did you pull all the frames?
Yes, I pulled all of the frames, but I didn't really clean the bees off. I might check again. So she was on frame number 5, just in the middle.
There it is. There it is. On the other side. Right on. Okay, close it up.
So we have some bee bread. They're making some bee bread right here. This is awesome. This is what we need. This is what we want. This is 100% exactly what we need. They're making bee bread. This means that all is good, all is well. So I'm seeing some bees with pollen packets and stuff like that. This is perfect.
Okay, careful laying them down.
So now that
we've got all our frames on.
Yeah, we got all.
Let's put our excluder and our.
So the excluder goes over here. So
yep.
the excluder.
Then the excluders go here. Oh yeah, you got it.
Excluder.
I had this laying right on the frames. Or is it okay here?
I think it's okay here.
Okay. Let's temporarily put this back on here.
I'll shake these guys.
Just leave them. Just leave them. They'll find
yeah,
right.
no, we'll shake them off just because that will make them.
Go, honeys. Don't want to crush you.
In this frame over here.
Okay, I'm gonna maintain this.
Yeah, so we've got the feeder. We've got the feeder over here. The bees are kind of disturbed, obviously, for obvious reasons.
We have a scoop, any kind of like
I really don't know. I really don't have much of any type of scoop. So yeah, the bees are kind of disturbed. kind of a little bit angry at us. I guess that's kind of understandable. Kind of intruded a bit. Sadly. So, lesson number, a very important lesson. Don't use glue. Don't use any type of, don't use glue. Don't use any type of, don't use a glue gun when you're doing your frames. If you got some good, if you got some, you know, like a staple gun or got some real glue, some real wood glue, use wood glue, because it appears to be that the glue gun isn't working too well. So, yeah, they're kind of a little bit distressed at us being here. So I guess we don't have a smoker, so instead of a smoker, I'm going to be using the only thing that we really got. We got some spray ball with some stuff, and so we're going to calm a little bit with the spray ball right here. Well, I think it's not really needed, but it's kind of, what you can do if you don't have anything, because as you can see, immediately after I do spray ball, they try to get to their entrance. They're trying to decrease the size of their swarm, if you will, which is kind of what we need.
Also, another note, the chicken water is not very good.
Yeah, it's not a very good feeder bucket, that is true. If you have any as your feeder bucket.
You might be almost done using the feeder bucket.
Yeah, because so I saw some honey, I saw some stuff, you know. Oh, they're kind of getting in the back. We are cool.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, put the feeder bucket in there.
I lost some of my skin.
I'll probably remove this for now because they're kind of, I guess, kind of distressed. I'll let them get in there just for the moment being. So we got these Sasquatch bees, and they're a little bit yellow, but their butts are kind of black. They're having this black spot, that black stripe on them. And I kind of hope that they're going to be a little bit better than, you know, some other types of bees. That's what we kind of hope they're going to be.
Okay, I'm going to put the top back on.
Yeah, do that.
Sorry. Really don't like if there's a crust one there.
Well, we try to get rid of them. They're like ants. Kind of like ants. In that perspective of it.
Put our brick back on.
Yeah. And so this is the wrap up of the video. And then if you really don't like it, it's up to you, you know. Whatever. Goodbye. So this is the wrap up for the video. If you like it, press the like button. If you have questions, please write in the comments. I'll answer them in the next video. I'll make a video about answering your questions. Bye.